Are you someone that has a fear of snakes? Well, in today's video, what we're going to be discussing is the fear of snakes and how to overcome it. So stick around. My name is Nick Pulaski. Growing up, I have always had a passion for wildlife, and with that passion, along with my passion of filmmaking, I get taken on some amazing adventures creating wildlife content, getting up close with a variety of incredible animals. So come follow along as I pursue my goals of educating, inspiring, exploring, and conserving wildlife, all while having fun, seeing the beauty in our natural world. Ophidiophobia, that is the fear of snakes, and that is exactly what we're going to be talking today, is about the fear of snakes. Now, for me personally, I obviously do not have that fear. I have a whole room of reptiles, mainly in specific snakes. Now, I know to a lot of people that kind of gives them the jitters and kind of makes them feel unsettled. Believe me, I get that, because I will talk to a lot of people outside of the reptile world and they will be like, oh my gosh, you have snakes? And they kind of get unsettled about that. Completely understand that. I don't fault them for that whatsoever. Totally understand those things. I always try to talk to these people about snakes and reptiles in a positive light, rather than how they're sometimes displayed in these villainous ways, and that's not the way I'm trying to show them and display them. Because really, I think snakes are misunderstood, and that's my goal, is to try to show people the positives with snakes rather than the negatives with snakes. But the fear of snakes is a common fear to have, and though this video will be talking about snakes and that fear, this video can actually be about any sort of fear and how to overcome it. Now, to position things, I'm not expecting you to be overcoming your fear of snakes or anything by the end of this video. It's not going to happen by the snap of your fingers. What this video, I hope, is a gateway for you guys to have a better and more positive understanding of snakes. That is my goal. So the opposite of fear is knowledge, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. Is we're going to be educating you guys on how these fears basically originated and how you can overcome your fears over time. That's what we're going to be going over today. So that's what we're going to be doing. There's no pressure whatsoever. Now, as you guys can see at the moment, my hands are currently empty. I'm not currently holding a snake, and I don't intend to as I'm going about this video. And I don't plan to hold a snake right now because I know that can be unsettling for some people, and I totally get that. That's totally fine. But I don't want to hold a snake right now in this video because I want you guys to positively hear some options about snakes and overcoming your fear of snakes over time. But later in this video, I do plan to hold a snake, and I will give you a fair warning beforehand, just so you guys can be prepared beforehand. If you guys totally want to stick around for that, I would love that. I think that would be a great step in the right direction. But if you're not quite ready yet, I totally understand that as well. So definitely stick around so you can see the really cool snake at the end of the video, if you want. But right now, let's talk about the origins of the fears. And like I said, this can be for any type of fear whatsoever, but these are the three main origins of fears that I personally see for people. So the first origin of fears is going to be about the media, and we're going to be discussing the media in a couple different ways here. But the media we're going to be first talking about is about mainly TV shows, movies, and other sorts of media like that. And I'm talking more so like things that are showing these animals and fears in a villainous light. Say, for example, let's take Jaws and Anaconda, the movies. So Jaws is a classic movie that was really popular in the 70s, but really boosted that fear of sharks. People were afraid to go to the beaches, and they had a really negative outlook on sharks. And unfortunately, this got a lot of sharks killed and called off at the end of the day to protect the beaches, and anything that was an innocent shark or anything like that was basically being killed. So it caused a lot of damage to the shark populations. Now, same thing happened with Anaconda. The movie Anaconda was showing the anacondas and snakes in a negative light. And these are just a couple of examples here, obviously, but Anaconda was basically showing these animals attacking humans, and it was a villainous trait and really added fuel to the fire on the fear of snakes. So you kind of see my picture here of where this is going, but the media is constantly doing these types of things. Same with news stories. I mean, you'll constantly hear news stories about a snake on the loose, a big giant snake on the loose, and then they'll show a little picture of a ball python. Now, for someone that completely doesn't know a single thing about snakes, they may see this picture of this ball python and about this big man-eater snake, and they see a ball python picture and they're like, oh my gosh, this is super scary. But then they'll see the ball python and they're like, oh my gosh, this thing's out to get me. Because the media at the end of the day is always twisting things and making things blown way out of proportion and negatively highlighting things just to get clicks and views and so on and so forth. And that's simply just not what we want. We want to show these things in a positive light so people are educated and know that these animals are not out to harm people, and it's simply just an innocent animal and they're not doing anything bad. So the next way that a fear can originate is from a negative upbringing. Say, for example, your mom and dad, they may see a snake or a spider, and when they see those things around you, they start to scream, shriek, do something bad, and anything, so on and so forth. You see those kind of things, and that kind of rubs off on you, where you're kind of seeing how these negative feelings come up to your parents when they see these animals or whatever the fear may be. So that rubs off on you. So when you see those things on your own, you have a negative perspective towards those things. You see what I'm kind of getting at here? So then you're going to treat that thing in a negative light and kind of perceive that thing in a negative light, and it kind of goes down the chain of command like that. That's one of those ways that a negative upbringing can do those kind of things. And it's no fault to your parents, because their parents probably did those things and so on and so forth. But it's all about having a positive outlook on things and educating people so those upbringings are changed from negative looks to positive looks. And that means not necessarily to go out and just kind of grab whatever kind of snake or whatever in the wild. That means how to respect the animal, keep your distance, admire from afar. You know, those kind of things are very, very important. So it's not making anyone act like Steve Irwin out there and just go grab things out in the wild. It's more about just what is in your area, how to respect it, how to admire it, and how to treat it so you don't have to get harmed yourself, you don't have to harm the animal. Those are all very important things. And the last way that we're going to go over that a fear can originate is from a traumatic experience. So say, for example, maybe you were just kind of sitting minding your own business, and then you see a snake and you weren't expecting that and you get spooked. That could be a certain way. Or maybe you got bit by a snake, or whatever your fear may be, something happened that was traumatic. So the ways that a fear can kind of curate is by a traumatic experience. So we're talking specifically about the fear of snakes. It's not just applying to the fear of snakes. It can apply to any type of fear. Because though we talked about the origins of the fears, that's great, but now it's all about trying to figure out what to do about the fear itself now and how to resolve those things the best we can. And it takes time. Like I said, it's not going to happen overnight or with the snap of your fingers. So that's what we're going to discuss right now, is what you can do to help overcome that fear. I myself too even have fears, and I have personally a fear of planes. Now, I don't actually have a fear of heights. I actually prefer the window seat on a plane. I think that helps calm me, actually, is looking outside of the window on a plane. That's my preferred spot. So I don't have a fear of heights, but the planes in general, that's always been something that I've been uneasy about. But honestly, throughout the past couple of years of flying a little bit more frequently, that's actually kind of helped me. The first couple flights for sure were definitely ones that were higher anxiety flights, but there's still some anxiety still there, but it's definitely a lot less, and it's kind of alleviated from flying a little bit more often. So that's definitely been something that's been helping me. So again, this applies to any types of fear, but we're going to be talking about snakes, and specifically is having that discussion with someone before a snake is even in the room. So kind of like what we're doing right now. So maybe someone that's like a professional, maybe a herpetologist, or someone that has a bunch of snakes and is really good with snakes and really knows their stuff about snakes. That's who you want to kind of go to. Right? You don't want someone that's going to be forcing these things on you and throwing a snake in your hands or whatever. That's not the positive way of going about things. It's about gradually going at your pace and not feeling forced or pressured or anything like that, and just learning and getting educated and then kind of going from there. But that's probably where you want to start, is being with you and that person and no snake in sight, and just talking and answering your questions and going back and forth and having a conversation that way. I think that is very important. I think that's a great first step for sure. And a common question that may be brought up that you may ask is the fear of getting bit. And honestly, a lot of people will ask, does this snake bite? And I will tell them, yes, any snake can bite. Anything can really bite. You know, dogs, cats can bite. And honestly, I have dogs and cats, and their bites are a lot worse, I would say, than the snakes that I personally own. So that is something that I always keep in mind, and I always tell people, is the snake bites, they're only biting you out of two reasons, really. And that is, one, first out of hunger, but they're not sizing you up as a meal or anything like that. They're just hungry, and they're just kind of biting as a miscue per se, but they're not necessarily biting you out of hunger. I would say they're biting you out of the second reason, which is out of defense. And it's all about perspective, right? So think about a snake's head. Super tiny snake's head, you're a giant in comparison to them. So they're viewing you as a ginormous person or a ginormous threat in some cases, especially if you're scared or timid or anything like that. That's being perceived by the snake. So they may kind of like give you a defensive bite, they'll latch on and let go really quick, and that's something to say, hey, let me go, I want to escape, I want to get out of here. Because you have to think, they don't have arms or legs to get away, so what do they use? They're going to use their mouth, and they're going to bite you. You know, it's going to be something quick because they just want to be let go and left alone. That's what their reasoning is for it. So you have to kind of understand that. And though these things can happen, it's most likely not going to happen to you, especially if you have someone nearby that's a professional that's going to be right next to you in case if anything does happen, or they can read some signs or whatever. That's going to help you in the long run as well too. Another thing too, before a snake even gets in your hand, is maybe even watching YouTube videos. Like, I have a whole bunch of different videos all about snakes. Well, that can also help you with desensitizing you, as well as a whole bunch of other YouTubers out there also do the same thing. So checking out our channels, doing those types of things is a really cool way and outlet without having a snake in the room to really learn about snakes in a positive way, along with getting that desensitization where you're not worried about these snakes being creepy crawly creatures or anything like that, or villainous animals. That's something that's really cool to see before a snake is even in the room. So the next step, if you're comfortable, is maybe bringing the snake in the room and seeing the person handling the snake and seeing the movements of the snake, because it's all a muscle. So seeing that snake move through a person's hand may be something that may help you and maybe make you ask some more questions while they're handling the snake, and you're just kind of mesmerized by the snake, the coloring, the pattern, the size of the snake, the beauty of the snake. Those are really cool things that get people intrigued and maybe invite them to do this next step, which is maybe touching the snake. So the handler will normally have the snake head over here, and you can just kind of touch the body of the snake and feel the scales. We've actually done videos in the past about the myths about snakes and reptiles, and a lot of people actually think that they're slimy because they give off a sheen on their scales and it makes them look really vibrant and it looks like they're very slimy. But actually they're not slimy whatsoever. They're very smooth for the most part. There are some ones with rougher scales, but there are a lot that are very smooth scale, and it's a very cool texture and feel to them. And a lot of people will just kind of find themselves talking and just still petting the snake, and then they'll be like, oh my gosh, I've been petting the snake this whole time and I didn't even realize it. And it's just a really cool feeling to a lot of people, and it's actually something that's really calming to a lot of people. A lot of people, believe it or not, with anxiety problems will actually own snakes because it's something like very therapeutic. That's a pretty cool thing as well. But that would be the next step, is maybe if you're comfortable enough just touching a snake and feeling it. But afterwards, I would say it's up to you at your own pace, if you're confident enough, to maybe, with the guidance and closeness of the person right next to you, or the professional, maybe holding a snake and watching that snake kind of move around in your hands and feeling that movement and stuff like that. It's definitely weird because, like I said, they're all muscle and they're just kind of moving around you. They're very curious creatures. You shouldn't feel threatened or anything like that, as long as you're holding them and supporting them, because they're really relying on you. They're wanting to make sure that they're secure, so they're treating you as like a human tree. So as long as they're secure in your hands, that's what they really care about. So they're just going to be kind of moving around you. They're not going to be seeking out to bite you or anything like that, but it's going to be a really cool feeling, as well as having that guide right there to make sure that you're feeling confident that you're going to be holding a snake for the first time. And it's always something really cool to see the first time someone holds a snake and the shock and the awe on their face, because it's a really, really cool memory that they'll never forget for sure, because it's something that they never truly believed would be achievable, and they never thought they'd have the confidence to actually hold, let alone touch a snake. So it's pretty cool to see. So those are the steps that I would start taking to help overcome your fear of snakes and gaining that new positive perspective for sure. Now, another important thing here is not just for the people that are fearful of snakes, but there are people that I'm sure are watching that also do have snakes. This is a reptile channel after all. So if you guys are people that have reptiles or snakes in specific, it's up to you guys to give this positive outlook on snakes as well too. That's what we're all about. You know, we're all animal lovers. We want people to see these animals in a positive light. So it's up to us to not put the pressure on people, to make sure that we're giving people the best opportunities and the most positive opportunities with the best information possible, so they feel confident enough at their own pace to get acquainted to snakes and reptiles and whatever the animal or fear may be. And that's how we make reptile lovers out of people, and that's what I'm all about, and that's what this channel is all about. So that's always my striving goal. So I hope those steps are going to be helpful for you guys. Like I said at the end of the video, I was going to bring out a snake. I'm sure if you guys stick around, you're going to think this snake is pretty cool looking for sure. So let me go grab one really quick. 3, 2, 1, here we go. So this right here is definitely an animal that always intrigues people. I should say the color mutation always intrigues people, but the snake as well too. So this snake is actually a ball python, and it has the color mutation and this patterning of clown and pied in it. And as you can see, I'm just kind of letting him do his thing, and he trusts me. He knows that I'm not going to drop him whatsoever, and it's great. You know, I mean, we are definitely having a totally calm, relaxing experience here, and ball pythons are great for that. They're one of the great snakes to have in someone's hand for a first timer for sure, because of the body size of these guys. These guys are perfect for handleability. They're not too fast or anything like that. As you can see, he's just kind of curious. He's checking me out. He's using me basically as a human tree at the end of the day, which is awesome. But yeah, if you stuck this far in this video, if you have a fear of snakes and you're super intrigued about them, I think that's awesome. Hopefully, as you go down your journey, this is going to be something that you're going to overcome over time. Like I said, this video is not expected to make you overcome your fear of snakes, but to help you see snakes in a new positive light. But if you do have interest, definitely go check out some of the other videos on my channel as well about snakes and reptiles in general. I definitely think that's something worth noting, as well as some other people as well too, and definitely find someone that's a professional to maybe get a hands-on experience with them and have a positive experience that way as well too. Things I would definitely recommend doing. But thank you guys so much again for watching today's video. If you guys could do me a few favors, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. But also too, let me know down in the comments if you guys have any other suggestions and ways to overcome your fears of snakes or whatever it may be, as well as I would love to hear what your personal fears are as well too. So definitely leave those down in the comments below. Also too, maybe share this video to someone that you consider has a fear of snakes as well. That would also be great. Maybe it will help them overcome their fears over time. I would love to hear those kind of success stories as well. I think this would be a great video for some of these people, and maybe someday they'll become reptile lovers too, and maybe we'll see them even at some expos. But also, if you guys could hit that notification bell and definitely check me out on my social media as well too, I would greatly appreciate that as well. Until next time, Nemo and I are going to be saying our goodbyes here, so thank you guys so much again for watching, and until next time, we will see you guys soon. Take care.